Hi there, it's Vic. I just wanted to make a kind of short, informative video. Um, I have told a lot of people that I'm going through a process that is bringing me a lot of happiness, peace, and just general kind of contentment and calmness. This process is known as transition. So, what is transition? It is moving socially and also realigning medically between one sex and gender to the other. So I started this process kind of in October, and changes are really slow, but it is all about trying to bring myself in line, my body in line with my inner sense of who I am. So that means a few things. It's probably confusing to some people because they kind of tend to think about sexuality and gender as being somehow the same thing. They're not. So I, as a younger person, actually confused them as well. So get this, I always felt like I was different. But naming that difference when I was growing up in the 1980s, it wasn't easy because there weren't terms that are available to describe the kind of difference that I felt. So this difference is actually about feeling like you're at odds with your body and your mind, and the only response for full integration is to medically transition. I denied it a whole long time, and I tried to find ways to put it in a different space. So one of those is to just assume that I was, like an effeminate gay man, which is not true. Because something really integral to that was missing, that is same-sex, quote-unquote, attraction. Now, I have had relationships with men, but I've always felt that I'm not a gay man and not a man, actually. And so that has been very confusing over the years. And in gay male social spaces, for example, I don't feel that they're my spaces. I feel like I'm of a different gender. But I'd coped with that by finding relationships with people who are understanding. I did tell former boyfriends about my gender dysphoria. It wouldn't be a surprise to any of them, in hindsight, that I've taken this path for medical transition. But what might be a surprise to them and to people who assume that there's a direct link between gender and sexuality, i.e. that one would transition because one maintains an attraction to men and wishes to become a heterosexual woman, that doesn't hold true in every case. There are certainly trans women who feel it very strongly, that they're attracted to men, but they wish to realign themselves so that they both have a better relationship with their body, but also that they can live in that role as a woman and have relationships with men. That isn't the case that I'm facing. I consider myself to be female. My body has told the world otherwise, but it will not go away. I definitely feel that the only kind of way through of the confusion and just to feel healthy and sane is to transition from male to female. But the extra element is that, my romantic interests are with women. And so this is the bit that some people don't get. So let me explain a little bit. So I never had a same-sex attraction, truly. I could feel tenderness for men and feel the desire for masculinity. And I don't know if that's completely off the cards, but the more I'm getting into the process of transition, the more I am awakening to what I had denied about myself, which is that for all intents and purposes, I could have had relationships with women, but I just felt like I was in the wrong body. That's the simplest way of putting it. It's probably a bit reductive, but it's a metaphor, right? I just felt wrong and couldn't perform in the male role. With this transition, aligning with being female in a bodily sense and social sense, suddenly a window opens, and all of my struggles with men are probably going to disappear now, because I've never really had great relationships with them. I do not communicate very well with men. I tend to feel greater connection to women. Unfortunately, this issue has been really politicized, and maybe there have been cases of trans women who identify as lesbians where they've been, foisting themselves on women or in women's spaces. It's really hard to tell, given the claims that are out there. But there are cases of people who want that recognition at all costs. I'm just content for whomever embraces me in my fullness as a transsexual and as someone who's attracted to women and wishes to have relationships in the future with other women, to just see me that way. A little bit different, obviously, but that's the core sort of stuff about me, that this is who I am, and it's a lot for people to get their head around. I understand that, because I'm going from putatively a gay man to a lesbian woman. It shouldn't really be surprising though. Now, there are all kinds of lesbian women. There are lesbian women who are femme, there are lesbian women who are butch, who are all a combination of different gender attributes. And that's not particular to transsexuals. I think all of us kind of have those characteristics. And so beyond the sort of physicality, I have characteristics that are masculine, and I have characteristics that are quite feminine, and somewhere in between, but being a transsexual is more than gender. It is about your embodiment and your being in the world. So that's why I'm transitioning. And I hope that this really is my second life, because I struggled with this for way too long, and so unnecessarily. The times are different now, in spite of some of the distractions around the figure of the trans woman as predator, and the idea that children are being groomed to transition. All of that stuff is from the right. We must get beyond that and speak to, if you don't know any trans people, real live trans people, women and men, non-binary, in the concrete. That's my advice. We're just part of the human spectrum, and we might be a minor part, but we exist, and we want what most people want. We want love, we want security, we want fulfillment, we want to have housing, access to health, we want to be able to fulfill our dreams, and those dreams go beyond transition, right? But mainly we just want to be out in the open, as risky as it can sometimes be to come out in this way. I just don't see why I should have to hold on to an illusion of being male when I'm not. So that's the message from me. If you have any questions, let me know.